All right, welcome back to part 2. We're talking about LSA ads, local service ads, and all of the secrets that you need to know to help you scale. I've got with me my co-founder at Banfana.
Nate Miller, pleasure to be here.
And we are going to be talking about everything we've learned over the last 3 years, spending literally millions of dollars a month on LSA, specifically for the legal industry. I'm going to talk everything that you want to know, like how do certain job categories perform, message versus phone leads, how does branded versus non-branded perform, how should you think about whether you should have 15 GMB locations or just one. So we're going to get really, really in depth and talk about even things like, you know, should you still try to refund leads with your reps? So stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode.
All right, here are the different job types available on LSA specifically for PI firms. To begin with, you probably want to just select maybe one or two, even if you do service all of these. I think it'll be helpful to sift through the quality of leads, and then you can expand over the course of time. So I think that this is really important because this does show you everything that's currently available and where you would want to start your business off with.
Yeah, and I think like as a PI firm, if you specialize in auto accidents, as Nate said, it's probably best to start with that. The other big categories here are slip and fall and dog bites. I mean, those are the ones that are going to spend the most. The rest, you really don't see a ton of spend off of them, but it might be helpful, as Nate said, like over time to turn them on. There are very different, I'd say, performance indicators by category. So as an example, I've seen where slip and fall, the cost per case is 2 to 3 to 4x higher than on auto accidents. So that's why we really recommend for firms, if they're just starting out on LSA, just to start with maybe 1 or 2 categories.
Likewise, too, I think it's important to understand maybe what is important for your business and what you typically select too, because I know that a lot of law firms are selective in which cases they take and have specific rules depending on the state. So it's important for you to really understand if I would, again, that's even more so of a reason to select auto accidents just to begin with, because most leads end up being higher quality in that specific category.
Yeah, and then also, you know, with Google, if you have a category selected on like medical malpractice, then you can't get a refund for that lead later on if it's a med mal keyword, but it's not like a relevant service.
That's a great point.
to your law firm. So keep that in mind as well. Again, that's why it's better to start with your core offering and then expand. Okay, so you've selected all of your job types. Now you need to figure out how they're performing. So in this image that we're going to show, you actually see here there's a category that shows you job type, and it's blacked out in the image, but you can see, okay, is it car accident? Is it bicycle accident? The ones that don't have any are uncategorized. And we're going to show another slide where it shows you the difference. Uncategorized leads is when someone searches for, say, injury lawyer. Google doesn't know if that individual is a car accident or bicycle accident or wrongful death or med mal, right? They just need an injury lawyer. Could mean a lot of things. So what you want to do is when you're pulling your report by job type, you want to see how everything performs. And what Nate and I have seen is that car accidents, as an example, performs 2 to 3 times better than the uncategorized leads. But uncategorized leads account for almost 50 to 60% of your total leads. So a lot more people don't indicate the type of lawyer they're looking for or the job type they're looking for in their search. So it's Nate and I go back and forth on this because it's kind of like this problem of like scale versus efficiency.
Exactly. And go into this section of LSA, download everything and create a quick pivot table. So you can see specifically how many leads you're getting in each and then create like a little percentage ratio chart. Yeah. That'll be extremely helpful for you to understand just how many leads you're getting and then just how many have been charged, just how many have been message leads versus phone. So do all that data because it is extremely helpful to see what job types you're seeing trend well or not trend well and how you can kind of pivot those specific levers because we really don't get that many levers in LSA.
We don't. So. And that's so true. Like we're filming this in Q1 2026. We did a Q1 look back starting in January through mid-March and by job type and how each job type performed and then how uncategorized performed versus leads that had a job type. We showed that data to our LSA rep And job type reporting is so new that he was so excited to see it. He was like, I can't wait to take this back to my product team. And we were really excited to show it too, because we wanted to know, hey, if we want an efficiency play, can we turn off certain job types? The answer is yes, but can we turn off uncategorized leads? And he was like, potentially we can do that. So that's, again, a back and forth of, hey, do you want more scale? Even if uncategorized leads are not giving you the cost per case you want, maybe they're giving you the scale that you want. So that's why job type is so important, why we wanted to talk about it, because a lot of people aren't looking at it that in depth.
Agreed.
One hidden setting that you may or may not know is on or not is something called direct business search. Now, in Google Ads, PPC world, we call this branded search. So if you turn on your direct business search, you are now eligible to show LSA ads for your brand. And this might be in conjunction with you running branded search ads on the Google Ads side. What we've seen, obviously, is that direct business search leads convert really, really well at a low cost per case. But if you have this turned on and you think that LSA is just providing you non-branded leads, you might actually have a lot worse non-branded cost per case than you think. And this happens sometimes when we go into accounts and we say, hey, your cost per case looks good, but it's really your direct business search that's making it look good. Your non-brand is actually not performing at your cost per case goal.
By default, just so everybody knows, this setting is turned on. So you'll have to go in and turn this off if you want to no longer show up for branded terms. And then likewise too, just keep an eye on that section that we had before where you can see what branded leads are coming from there, because that will be a clear indicator as to whether or not you want to turn that off. Because and then likewise too, they might actually still be more expensive than your regular CPA that you get on Google Ads. Google Ads you might be like spending maybe like, I don't know, $5 to $10 cost per click, depending on the law firm, up to 200 plus cost per click. So it's up to you to determine whether or not that's beneficial. But a lot of times we have had businesses turn this off to just see what performance they get and look at the total amount of uncategorized plus, I would say, non-branded terms.
What we've seen is direct business searches perform better than brand PPC, but if you have them both on, it might affect your organic or your GMB case volume, right? Your Google My Business case volume. So, because now you're paying for 2 different ad slots and your organic listings might get pushed down, yada, yada. So again, it is something you really want to consider. Do I have it on? Do I not? But at the very least, if you have it on, figure out what your cost per case is for direct business searches versus the rest. Should you do message leads or not? That's a big question. We just talked about if you should do brand and have that toggled on, direct business search. Right above it is message leads. And in our sphere of small world of legal LSA, what we recommend is that you do message leads, but there's a big caveat to this. So first, we use a company called Juvo Leads. Great vendor, great company, and they help us respond to LSA message leads right away. So if someone messages us on LSA, they're on it within seconds, literally. That's really, really important because it helps our response time and it helps us rank higher in the auction. But, and they'll even tell you this, message leads don't perform nearly as well as phone calls. So why do we recommend that you run them? Well, we recommend that you run them because if you turn them off, you actually lose space in the auction. And we've heard this from Google reps, we've heard this from vendors, we've heard this from other legal advertisers. You can turn message leads off and get a more efficient cost per case, but because you're now not a law firm that allows people to either do a phone call or message yourself, then you're less likely to appear top in the rankings. And that hurts your overall volume.
It really is important because you want to be at one of those top 3 spots. There really are only 3 spots. A few people click on the extended leads, but I would say for the most part, top 3 is most important. And it's important to understand how message leads work because message leads are changing and they go back and forth. When you click on a message lead, it could send directly to the firm. But we have seen instances where people click on a message lead and it will actually group firms up together. And it's almost like a race to whoever can respond fastest. And whoever responds fastest is usually the one that gets the lead. So even more so is it an annoyance or a necessary evil to just have them on, but you also have to be quick at responding.
Yes. And last tidbit, when we did our big Q4 look back, we told our LSA rep that, hey, message leads aren't performing as well. Should we turn them off? Should we keep them on? And he told us about the impact on the auction. We verified that with other people. But my caveat was like, well, we can't see cost per lead in platform. We only get an average cost per lead. So can you show me if message leads are cheaper, especially if you guys are sending it to 4 other law firms? And actually, it is cheaper. Message leads are on average 50% cheaper than phone call leads. Take that into account, but also ask your LSA rep if that's true for your firm. But very interesting things that we found when we tried to dig a little bit deeper. You know, it's not as black and white with LSA, right? Like, oh, message leads aren't working, turn them off. These categories aren't working, turn them off. But then you end up losing this residual scale, this incremental scale that you would have had if you had them turned on. So it's why these things are a little complicated, and we're giving you all the information we know so that you can make the best decision.
Location. Why does it matter for your business, in particular for LSA? It matters based off of a variety of different reasons. Historically, Google Ads and GMB/LSA, they all recommended that you create a bunch of different locations to target based off of proximity. So you'll have maybe 15 different, satellite offices set up for your law firm. And then in that particular radius, you'll then create a GMB, get reviews, all of that. What we're finding is that might not necessarily be the most impactful way to drive LSA and to drive leads as a whole. Harrison, what do you have to say?
Yeah, it's like Nate said, the prevailing wisdom for a lot of years was, hey, go out and make all these GMBs because proximity matters. But our LSA rep told us recently that proximity only matters to your LSA location if the user includes proximity in their search. So what does that mean? If you search injury lawyer, Sacramento, or car accident lawyer, Charlotte, that's when the Google algorithm will actually use the proximity to your GMB location. Well, we know that's not a lot of searches, right? Near me searches and location specific searches might account for 10 to 15%. Right?
Exactly.
So should you go out and make a bunch of Google My Businesses, 10 to 15 Google My Businesses as an example to cover an entire state? Well, what I recommend from a structure perspective actually has a lot to do with location. So your number one GMB with the most reviews should target statewide, okay? And so that covers you no matter where someone is in the state, or should cover your main service area, okay? It doesn't have to be statewide, could be Southern California or West Texas as an example. Then if you have satellite offices, you can use them throughout your state or your states. And so if you have coverage if someone searches the near me or the city specific searches. So I would use your main location as the, that's the head location that you want to target, and then you can use the other locations as the smaller, more niche searches. That is it for part 2. We gave you some trade secrets for everything that we know about the LSA legal space. We hope that you've enjoyed it. We hope that you become a liker and subscriber of our content. We've got a lot of other data that we want to share around Google Ads, YouTube, cool stuff like that. But more than anything, we appreciate you watching, appreciate any feedback that you have, and we hope to see you here next time. Thanks a lot.